at that point, that's when I say sit, because what I want him to do is I want him to get into the position, and then I want to put a tag on the position. I want to name the position after he's in it, so that he associates the position with the word. And I don't want in the training process for it to sound like I'm nagging him. So I don't want to be going sit, 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 sit. Okay? So that's simple. Head looks up, bum goes down, there's your sit. Job done. To teach it down, I grab the dog in a sit and then I slowly bring the food down between their front paws and they slip into a down. And then there's some common mistakes, and they're these. Mistake number one with a puppy is not doing it from a sit. You'll just get that, okay? So make sure the bum's on the floor. And let's say you were halfway to getting you down, so you got your dog in a sit and you're bringing the food down and you get halfway and then all of a sudden the dog gets up. Don't continue trying to get the down at that point. Get the dog back in a sit. And what that might look like for you, depending on your dog, is that you're just spending all the time getting the damn bum on the floor. And it's a perfect pain in the neck. But keep getting the bum on the floor, make sure that bum's nice and well planted on the floor before you persist with the down, and then you'll get there. The other mistakes people make teaching down are they perhaps go too fast. So sometimes with a puppy you have to lure them really, really slowly. You have to take the food down ever so slow. And the other thing that people do teaching it down where they go wrong is they bring the food too far forwards away from the dog. So they go lie down, and they bring the food all over there, and the dog gets up to follow the food, okay? So aim between their front paws. There's down. All right, and then we got down. Stand is so easy, you can't go wrong with stand, so this is easy peasy. Yeah, I just pop the dog in a sit, I bring the food forwards. Stand. The dog gets up to follow the food. That's it. The only mistake I see people make with stand is they think they have to have the food up here, go and get it, which will make the dog do that, which you don't want.
Stand.
You just want forwards, stand.
Up.
So we'll start by luring the food. Don't worry if your dog doesn't get it straight away. Sometimes dogs will learn these things super quick. Sometimes it'll take a bit of time. It doesn't matter. Just like let your dog learn it at their pace.
Down.
So have a go, sit and lie down and stand, and let's just see how you do.
Milo, what's this? Milo. Milo, what is it? Milo, sit.
I think your dog's
Good boy.
getting too warm. Please feel free to go find a space in the shade. That's perfectly fine.
Milo, what's this? Down. Good boy.
Hard to teach you lie down. I'm not saying it's impossible.
Stand.
I'm saying that you might have to
Milo,
be more
stand.
persistent and take a little longer over it than you might otherwise.
Milo, stand. Good boy. Stand. Down. Good boy.
Could just be my memory.
Up.
Could just be that I'm not
Good boy.
remembering it quite right.
Watch. Good boy.
Good.
Good boy.
Good girl.
That's lovely.
Well, we do know stand, we do know lay down, but getting up, standing up.
Okay, that's all right. It might just take a bit of practice.
Yeah.
It's just luring him forward with the piece
Come
of
on.
food. You'll be able to teach that easy peasy. We can move on to the next thing. So, go ahead, have some fun teaching those things at home and see how you get along. And then next week, we'll start to hopefully become a bit less dependent on putting pieces of food on the dog's nose and having to bend down and lure them into the positions, okay? It's a good starting point, but obviously it's not where we want to end up in the long run. Right, we're going to do recalls.
Wait.
So this will work like this. Last week we just did a little tiny on the lead recalls. We'll be more ambitious this week. I'll hold your dog here. Well, I say hold your dog. I'll put the end of the long line a safe distance, and then you can clip your dog on the long line so then I can hold them and you can go walk to the other side of the courtyard, and then you can call your dog over. And of course what I want you to remember is I want you to not just say your dog's name, I want you to have a word that means please come back to me. So I want you to say Elvis, I'd say Elvis, come on. Whatever word you pick, it doesn't matter what word you use, as long as there is a word that can come out. Sound a little bit enthusiastic, so don't just like be completely flat about it. It's like, Elvis, come. Sound excited. And when your dog gets back, most important bit, when your dog arrives, make sure you feed them with one hand, and then as you're feeding them with the one hand, you get them under control with the other hand. What I don't want to happen is, I don't want the dog to be so quick that by the time they run over, you don't have any time to get control of them. But also, by the same token, I don't want you having to like jump out and grab them. And if you just have a piece of food waiting in your hand, and the dog's just nibbling on the food, then you don't have to rush, and the dog's being desensitized to being held, and that's important. So, do you mind going first? Oh, it doesn't matter. It's only a cup. So, I'm going to pop that just there for you to clip him onto.
It's typical though, isn't it?
Pop it on his hands. Yeah, pop it on his hands. And then if you take the lead off once it's on. Great.
Be
Excellent.
quiet. Milo, quiet.
You bark, I
Go stand all the way up the other end of the foot. Now, don't worry. It's going to be fine.
Milo, what's this?
So here we go. So keep going. Keep going. Give him lots of information. Just give him loads of information.
Elvis, come.
That's what, yeah, exactly. What I want him to do is to cut on.
Elvis, come.
There.
Elvis, come.
There it is.
Elvis, come.
That's it. Good. You won't always have to do this. This is just because he's a youngster.
Yeah. Elvis, come.
Good boy.
There it is.
Good boy.
Lots of praise.
Milo,
for us.
wait.
Elvis.
Good boy.
His own time, when he does eventually get there.
Elvis, come.
Lots of praise.
Milo, sit.
Oh.
Milo,
Yeah.
sit.
Don't worry that it
Good
took
boy.
a while, like a bit of practice, and it looked like obviously he's super young. But by the time he's like 14, 15 weeks, you'll start to notice a big difference.
You've been doing it a bit on the lead.
Just, yeah.
I guess he's smelled it.
And like I said, I mean, it's not like he's been on the floor. Yeah, exactly. If you put him on the floor, he's going to be curious, so that's okay. Right, I'm gonna put that.
No. Go away. Go away, naughty boy.
All right then. You ready?
Ready? Milo, come on. Come.
Let's just pop that just there for you. Oh, look. There you go.
Milo, wait. Wait.
We'll go ahead and pop them on there. There you go. Okay,
Milo,
yeah.
wait. Wait.
Off you go. Oh, look, he's eager, so that's a good start.
Milo, come on. Milo.
Don't worry, there we
Milo,
go.
what's this? What's this? Milo.
So just be patient.
Milo.
There we go.
Milo, what's this? Milo. That's in English, huh? Milo.
Have you got that? Yeah, I'm just loading it.
Milo, what's this? What's this? Milo, come on.
Okay, let's start here. So what we're going to do, what we're going to do is you're going to come over and pop some food on his nose so he knows what's in there.
Milo,
Show him that, pop it right on his nose. There you go.
Milo,
Now give him a pull.
come. Milo, come.
That's fine. Do you want to carry that? I don't mind that at all. That's good. Okay, cool. Excellent. Okay. Good boy. Good boy. You ready? There you go.
Good boy.
Doesn't want to do anything slow. Everything's got to be done at 1,000,000 miles an hour. You're a typical little cocker, aren't you? Lovely little thing. Whenever you're ready.
Aww.
Perfect. Oh, I thought that was perfect. Go on, go. Keep going. Yeah. So just, she's going to have a short attention span, so you're just going to be willing to give her lots of clues, but that's fine. She's perfectly willing, and that's the most important thing. Even if she forgets halfway at this stage, if you remind her, she'll go, oh yeah, of course. So that's good. Right, great. Are you ready? Okay. Go.
But it's
Super ready to go. So that's great.
down.
This is what we're looking for. This is what we want.
Alfred, come. Come on.
And you see straight away as soon as Mum was walking away, he was like, right, I want to go back there. So that's a really good place to be. Great. Okay. You ready? Do it. All right. There you go. Better brace myself for this one, eh? Come on, big fella. Getting strong already, are we? Strong already?
Good boy.
Oh, yeah. Wonderful. So, super eager, really, really super. Okay, good. Just make, look, if it's a little puppy, you should really be doing recalls, like it sounds silly, it's not actually as hard as it sounds. You should be doing recalls like 30, 40 times a day. That sounds like I'm setting you a difficult piece of homework. But if you think about how long it takes to do a recall, it takes a couple seconds. It's a really low effort. But like 30 or 40 times a day, you want to be saying to the dog, you know, Milo, come, and he runs over, and then you do something nice for him. So that could be an assortment of things. Like it'll often be food, but it could be throwing a tennis ball, it could be playing a game of tug, it could be giving the dog a cuddle. And also, like the kind of reward I give is dependent on the environment. If I'm in a distracting environment, I'm more likely to use food. So that's a useful thing to do. And also play recall games. Go out with someone else from your household and stand apart, even if you're using a long line, stand apart from one another, and then one person call the dog, and then when the dog comes over, make a big fuss about, oh my God, you came back, that's really exciting, like add excitement to the mix. Feed the dog, praise the dog, tell them they're fantastic, and then it's your turn, and the dog is going to enjoy running back and forth between the two of you, and that's going to really build a positive association. Your dog's going to think coming back to you is like a really great thing to do. Like I said, especially if you're attaching food to the end of it, and you're attaching like, oh, chase the tennis ball, or oh, grab the tug toy and whatnot, the dog's going to be pretty eager about coming back. If the only time you bother calling your dog back is because you want something, so it's like, I'm calling you back because I want to put the lead on now, I'm calling you back because I want to shut the back door and make sure you don't go back out into the back garden. If those are the only times you're calling the dog back because I have needs to be fulfilled, guess what? The dog's going to start becoming reluctant to come back, and then you're going to notice problems start to crop up. And those problems are difficult to undo, but they're really, really easy to not make the mistakes in the first place. Like if you don't make the mistakes in the first place, piece of cake. All right, we are going to start teaching the dog to walk on a loose lead, particularly for your benefit, with a big strong dog like that. So I'm going to go and grab my dog. We'll talk a little bit about loose lead walking, and we'll see what we can do. Some of these dogs are going to be hopefully easy to get to walk on a loose lead. Maybe you've got yeah, I know you've got a cocker spaniel, ain't happening. I'm not saying you can't teach it, but what I'm saying is that you're going to have to use more persistence and more effort to. It's not her natural mode of movement. So I'll give you some hints, like things that are going to make encouraging the dog to do the right thing easier. Drifty, come here. So what I really want to be able to do is I want to teach the dog how to follow me. Because what I don't want to take for granted with a little puppy is that they just should know how to walk with you. So I'm going to pick on Heidi because she's the perfect example, right? So let's think about Heidi's natural movement. So when you watch Heidi move off the lead naturally, like in a natural way, how often does she walk at human pace? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And additionally, when you watch Heidi moving naturally, she's off the lead, how often does she go in a straight line?
She runs sideways.
Yeah, exactly. So the point I'm driving at here is that like the notion of walking at human walking speed and in a straight line is not natural to her. So she has to not just on a mental basis, but on a physical basis, she has to learn how to do it, and it's not easy for the dog. Like drift isn't, like when it comes to going slow, drift, heel. When it comes to going slow, you'll notice that actually drift is a bit of an awkward mover. Like he's not got a relaxed, comfortable gait at this speed. He's never developed it. He's never, like he'll do it, he's learned, but even now, you can see that like trotting is comfortable for him, like pacing is a little bit awkward and irregular. Okay, so that's why you have to teach the dog. That's why you can't just take for granted that they ought to know it. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll give you an exercise to practice encouraging your dog to learn how to be interested in where you're going and to follow you. So you can build interest and you can make the dog more interested in following you. And then after you've had a practice of the exercise, we'll talk about a couple of strategies that might make it easier for you. Because I don't want you walking down the street exasperated and annoyed because the dog's walking you constantly rather than the other way around. Okay, the exercise we'll do today is so simple, but it's going to lay a really great foundation for you. And it's the great place to start because the dog will enjoy this. And that's a good place to start because the dog will see it's a game. So the game's called the Follow Me game. It does exactly what it says on the tin. Like, I teach the dog to be interested in where I'm moving, and we play a game that involves following me. And he learns that if he follows me, he can win treats. So I say, you ready? Follow me. And I move around, and I'm trying to escape the dog. He knows how the game works. So every time I change direction, good boy, he's coming with me. So what happens is he's learned to pay attention to where I'm going, even if I quickly change direction, and then he sticks to me. And then when I try and teach him to walk heel, he knows what that means. At first, with a puppy, it looks like this. I get the dog in front of me, we do a watch, and I move this far. Oh my gosh, you followed me, fantastic, that wins a treat. And I'm not ambitious about the distance. I'll go like, oh, if you follow me one step, great, that's a good start, you win a prize. Oh wow, fantastic, you follow. And then I increase distance. Yay! And then that's when the fun starts because I can start changing direction. And so I can go, you ready? And then all of a sudden I change direction once, and if the dog changes with me, they win a prize. And then I add in more direction changes, and I also shift speeds. So I go. So the dog's really learning to move in unison with me. Now obviously that's not what we're teaching in the long run, we're teaching the dog heel. But as a foundation for teaching heel, it's brilliant, you couldn't do better. So, find a space where you're happy to work, start simple and then build as you go. Teach your dog the follow me game. It's ever so useful as a starting point for lead work, okay? Cool, have a go. I'll put my dog out of the way for a minute.
Milo. Milo. Milo.
Good girl. Heidi, follow me. Up, Chris. Good girl. Follow me, follow me. Good girl. Follow me. Follow me. Follow me. Follow me. Good. 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 Heidi, follow me. Oh, good girl. Good girl. Good.
Milo. Milo. Follow me. Come on. Milo. Sit. Down. Down. Milo. Down. Down. Good boy.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly where you want to be. Good. So most importantly with this exercise is your dog is enjoying the process of following through.
Milo.
Building enthusiasm for the exercise, that's what counts.
Yeah.
Milo.
Don't worry about all this. He's just so young. He will, honestly, you'll find that like, give it a couple of weeks and he's like less distracted by the environment.
Milo.
My take on it is that a couple of things. Well, I mean, the first thing I always bear in mind if I'm worried about food is that like the dog won't necessarily, especially if I save the special treats for being out the house, the dog won't make the connection between the food bowl that they get put down and the treats they get out and about. So, like what I find is that like if your dog will find out, cool. That's absolutely brilliant. Looking really nice. Okay, I'm more than happy with that. That's absolutely perfect. Once again, the idea here is obviously that's not the finished product. That's not what we're trying to teach. I always say when I'm trying to help people with their dogs that enthusiasm trumps control, because if my dog is if my dog's enthusiastic about something, then imposing control over the top of it's really easy because the dog wants to do the exercise, so they'll do it under whatever conditions and rules that you set for it. But if the dog's just not interested, then it becomes hard to control because the dog has no enthusiasm towards what they're trying to do, so they just won't do it. So if you work on, when you're training anything, especially if it is something that you want to impose control on later, put your focus on making the dog enjoy the process of learning that thing, and then what happens is as you work through the training process, you can become more and more controlled with it. Good. Now, here's my strategy for being realistic about how much loose lead walking I can get with a puppy. And I think this is quite a helpful way to think about it. I'm going to get my dog so I can show you. So I need to balance with my puppy the notion of teaching them how to walk nicely and respectfully, but I also need to balance that with like having realistic expectations of how much concentration I can get out of a little puppy, especially a cocker, and B, I also need to obviously be fair to the dog, and I need to allow them plenty of time to explore their environment, to sniff and to investigate and so on. So what I want to do is I want to divide my walk up. So I want to teach my dog how to walk on a loose lead when I request it, and get them to do that reliably, so that I can say to the dog, okay, look, this is loose lead time now. We're getting from A to B. I don't want you to stop at every lamppost and sniff it, and I don't want you to pull my arm out of socket, like moving me along. We're just walking discipline now. And then also I want to be able to communicate to the dog, okay, now it's free time, and you can pull to your heart's content, and you can sniff the lamppost, and you can have fun and do your own thing. And I want to be able to communicate that to the dog. And that's easy. So the easiest half of this, so I need to be able to communicate two things. The first one is I need to communicate to the dog, I'm allowing you free time now, I'm giving you the green light, you can do your own thing. I have a release word for my dog. And I use this for tons of stuff. So like, for instance, I've got food in a bowl here, yeah? He's waiting for me to release him. I release him by saying, okay. My release word is okay. I don't care what release word you pick. I know lots of people say stuff like, off you go. I don't care. But have a specific phrase or word that means I'm letting you do your own thing. So if he sees another dog, and I say, hang on a sec, he'll go, like, most of the time, not all the time, most of the time he'll go, all right. And then if I say, okay, he then runs off. If I sit him at the front door, he waits for me to say, okay, and that means you can exit the front door. If I'm putting his food down, if I'm at the boot of the car, etc. So I use the release command for a lot of different things. So, okay. If I'm out and about with him, and we're walking on a loose lead, which is what I expect him to do, because it's the polite thing to do, and then I say drift. Oh, I like kind of a food, of course. Now's the chance for me to practice. Okay. We're walking on a loose lead, and I go drift. Okay. He then starts to pull and sniff and do his own thing, and that's perfectly fine because I've told him it's all right to do it. Okay. It's easy to teach. Just use it in everyday life. When you put the dog's food down, release them to it with a specific phrase. When you let them out the front door, do it with a specific phrase. When, etc. If you just use it, the dog will pick it up. And try and get in the habit of using it so the dog doesn't do that thing unless you've said it, so that they build the right habits there. And then, of course, then comes the more. So then, the rest of the time is just me saying the word heel. Means okay, we're doing the discipline walking now, which we'll practice. Drift, heel. Good boy. And of course, we'll teach that as we go through the course. Here's how I think you should structure your walk. Then, I think you should do, like at the beginning of your walk, spend a minute or 2 minutes doing structured walking. Where it's like, if you try and pull me, guess what? We ain't going anywhere. And doing the stepping and stuff. And then after a couple of minutes, when you kind of get around the walk, you can then say to the dog, okay, and it's fine for them to pull them because you told them it's fine. And they're capable of understanding this. And then in the middle of the walk, do 2 minutes, and at the end of the walk, do 2 minutes, and on the right note. And then, as per your requirements and as per what your expectations are, you can increase those, the beginning, middle, and end of the walk discipline section as suits you. So you can have as much discipline walking or as little of it as you want, but you're teaching your dog the right habits. Okay, good. That's my day for walking. We'll do more of it next week. Let's practice examining our dogs now. So.
No, not.
Oh my goodness, your dogs are going to get poked and prodded throughout their lives. They're going to be hurled up in front of strangers like at the vets. And then what we're going to expect of them is that they're just perfectly happy to stand there and not get stressed while someone that they've never met before like jabs them with needles and looks in their ears and picks up their tail and looks at their paws and whatnot. That's understandably could be a stressful experience with the dog. If you take the time to get the dog used to being examined, you'll find that it gets easier because they're habituated to it. So we're going to examine our dogs. I would typically, when I'm doing it with a puppy, I would feed them the whole time so that they are associated with food so they're distracted. I kneel on the lead, I feed with one hand, and then this is what I do. I rub the dog's head so they get used to having their head rubbed. I run my hand down the dog's back, because people do rub your dog's head, you know. Like people go up and go, ooh, puppy, and rub your dog's head. I run my hands down the dog's back, I practice picking up their tail. Guess what? The vet's going to come and stick a thermometer up there at some point, and they'll move the tail out of the way, and you want to get your dog used to that. And you're going to practice picking up paws and fiddling around with them. So what I do is I get my dog's paws, and I poke around between the toes, and I check their tummy, and I do their front paws.
Milo.
And take your time looking at their paws, no rush.
Come on, up.
Get them used to it. And then look in their ears, look at their eyes, look at their nose, and open their mouths. I'll come and help you all by looking at what you're doing. Head, back, tail, paws, tummy, paws, ears, eyes, nose, mouth. We're checking our dogs all over to get them used to being poked and prodded because...
Good boy.
Well, you can imagine. That's it. Oh my gosh. Excellent. You say you got
My dad's got a dog.
What's his name?
Good boy.
What's his name?
Wait.
Bad temper. Some call it candy. I've come across some good bad temper.
Milo. Come on. Good boy.
You know the following exercise? No. I've got no issue with the following that everywhere.
Oh, good. Good. I'd rather that than the dog that wasn't interested, even though it can sometimes be a little bit annoying.
On the walk, it's brilliant. This is stuff that they
At home, it's perhaps a bit irritating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good boy.
It's just her teeth.
Okay, let's have a look. Show me what you do.
I know we've only got
Milo.
3 canines today.
So she accepts it.
Yeah, she's really good at being touched, and I've had loads of different people try and do this to her.
That's
and
really good.
She just loves people. It's just she doesn't tend to relax with the teeth.
But she's not very good at relaxing at this stuff.
No.
Not one for just like taking a load up and chilling. How about Milo? How do you feel about it? Not bothered.
Not
Looks
bothered.
really easy going.
Yeah, well, favorite toy is my hands. My hands
Yes.
only.
Is that improved?
Yes, a bit. But still, well, it goes for the hands to play with them. Even if I do have a toy in my hand, it still goes to the hand.
Okay, okay.
But
No interest in the toy. You're not able to get him interested in the toy.
no,
You tried using bigger toys, so your hands are out of the way and he's getting... Because what I'd be doing is I'd be building interest in toys. Oh, look at that. That's nice, good. He looks like he likes a fuss, doesn't he? Good. Yeah, big long toys and taking the time to get him excited
Bigger
about
toys.
toys at home. Yeah, when I say big long ones, I mean like...
Good girl.
I mean like big long like that.
all right.
So then my hands are right out the way, and my rationale is getting him super excited about toys, so then when I do use shorter ones that he's got enough interest in the toy.
Fair enough.
Okay, cool. Have a look. Good. Well, I've only got one more little thing I want to go over today, so that's good. We've got a lot of time. And that is teaching our dogs to do leave it. It would be nice. It would be really nice if, you know, imagine this, you're down the park and you spy a nasty old kebab that someone left on the floor. It would be nice to be able to just say to the dog, leave it,
Milo, leave.
and have the dog pay attention to that. And I think a lot of people go
Leave.
wrong. I think what they do is they
Milo,
don't ever
leave.
teach the dog how to do it. Like what happens is they wait for the dog to be in front of something that's just far too tempting for it to ever work. And then all they do is they try and convey their meaning through the tone of their voice. They think just by going like, leave it, like in an angry voice is going to be enough to magically teach the dog how to do it. And it doesn't work like that. But what you can do is you can take the time to practice it, and what happens is your dog gets better at doing it. I mean, sure, like I appreciate that there's always going to be something that your dog finds that perhaps is going to be too much for them to listen to you. But you can absolutely improve this. You can make it so much better than it currently is. It's ever so easy to teach. Drift is not the best demonstration dog for it because he knows it quite well, so it won't look like what it looks like when you first teach a puppy. But I'll show you it with Drift, and then you can apply the same logic. What will happen with your dog is the gap between you saying leave it and the dog responding will be bigger. But other than that, you're just doing the same as I'm doing. So you say leave it, and then what happens is the dog continues trying to get the piece of food you put on the floor, and you prevent them with the lead. And you wait nice and patiently, and at some point, and it might be ages later, at some point the dog will look at you as if to say, what gives? And you go, oh my God, you came away from that thing. And you ply them with treats. And they go, oh, that was completely worth my while. And then you can see what happens. So look, I'll show you a trick. It's not a weight exercise, so I'm going to just fling it and just let him do whatever he's going to do. Leave it. Good boy, well done. Okay? So we just leave it. Good boy. Don't take that thing. Leave it. Good boy, well done, okay? It's me telling him, leave it. Don't go for it. Now, this is what happens. So here we go. This is what it will look like with your puppy. Your puppy's straining at their lead. They're trying to get them to leave it. And then what happens is you say leave it and the dog takes ages to respond. That's fine. I don't want you to repeat the word over and over because I don't want them to learn that you have to say it 10 times. Leave it. Good boy. When the dog responds, oh my goodness, I can't believe you respond. You know, you play act that thing that I was talking about last week. Leave it. Which is you play act enthusiasm. Oh my God, I can't believe you, like you're not actually that impressed, but you go, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. I'm so thrilled with you, aren't you fantastic, etc. And then as you practice, what you'll notice is the dog, when you say leave it, starts looking at you sooner and sooner. And then you still have to use a safety net, like a lead, for a little while you're training it, because otherwise, obviously, the dog will just snap at what was on the floor. But if you practice with the safety net until it's looking reliable, I promise you it will get more reliable in real life. So have a go at chucking some food on the floor, not letting the dog quite get to it, saying the word leave it. When they look at you, that's your cue to praise them and reward them. Have a go. Really useful thing to teach. Good lad. Well done.
Leave.
Yeah, this was obvious to them. And sometimes I find with a young dog it's best for me to crouch down so I'm kind of easier for them to look to. So crouching can be helpful in this exercise.
Leave it.
And don't worry if at first it takes a while. It might be.
Good boy.
Milo. Leave.
Leave it. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl.
Oh, look at this little face. It's adorable.
Good boy. Leave.
Boy.
Good boy.
That's nice with Elvis. Good work. Make sure
Good.
you don't release the dog to the thing on the floor, of course, because I don't need to defeat the purpose of the training.
Good girl. Good girl.
Good boy.
Leave.
Lovely with
Good
Elvis. That's really good.
girl. Good girl. Leave it. Leave it.
Good boy.
Leave it.
Nice and patient.
Good boy.
Yeah, oh my gosh, you did it. That's so good.
Milo, what's this?
Leave.
I mean, the benefit of having an intelligent dog is that they learn the things you teach them really quick. And the downside of having an intelligent dog is that they learn how to get around the things you teach them even quicker.
Good girl. Good.
Go.
Yeah.
Oh.
Same as.
Good boy.
I mean, I guess it's a like a hunt-point retrieve instinct, isn't it? Something soft.
Well done.
Now.
And literally, like, you can say leave it and he'll leave it, he'll come to you, take the treat and then go straight back for it, and then come running to you with his
Good boy.
Leave.
Good boy.
That's it. Patient. God, you did that.
Good girl.
Okay, so finish the one you're doing.
Well
You
done.
get the idea.
Girl.
Alright. I mean, there's a couple of things that need to be said. That's really good. Well done, Milo. So pick up the pieces of food you left on the block. So there's a couple of things that need to be said about leave it that I think are worth noting. So the first one is don't mistake it for a weight exercise. So weight means that thing that I've put in front of you, you are welcome to have if you hang on a sec. Leave it means, that thing is off limits, you can't have it. So that means that if I'm practicing it as a training exercise, whatever the thing I'm training with, once the exercise is finished, I remove it from the situation. Because I don't want the dog to learn to hear, leave it, respond, and then go, like you're saying with the tissue, and then go get it. The other thing I would say about leave it is that I would avoid using it in a real world context, in an everyday context, until it's trained reasonably reliably in a training setting. Because what I don't want to happen is, like, imagine Milo sees something he wants and I don't want him to have it, and I say leave it, and I've got no lead on him or anything, and he knows he's going to ignore me, and I know he's going to ignore me. He's taking that word leave it and I'm weakening the word. He's learning that it's optional, that he can disregard it. If I train it using leads and whatnot until it's looking really, really reliable while the safety net's there, then you'll find when you do start to bring it out in a real world context, the dog actually does respond. So all I'm saying is work at it before you think about using it. Otherwise, you're putting an effort to something that you're undoing the effort you're making. I don't want you to put in a bunch of effort into anything just to undermine it, because that'd just be a waste of your time. I definitely don't want you to waste your time. Yeah, Oh, and the other thing is you can use leave it for anything that you're having an issue with, but you have to practice in front of that thing. So I would get the tissues out. But I wouldn't let him get to them. I would take a couple of tissues, I'd scrunch them on the floor out of reach, and I would practice leave it. And then, like,
Good boy.
what you can do as well as practicing leave it, of course, is like, if you work on, like, just teaching the dog to ignore that distraction. Yeah, good boy, by just kind of having it present and rewarding them ignoring it. Oh, that's brilliant, good dog. Yeah, there it is. Then what happens is, yeah, the dog gets more able to block it out. So if your dog has a thing about socks or whatever else, you can train around those things and use them strategically as distractions and improve upon it, and it's worth it. And of course you could use it like if your dog was if your dog wanted to run up to every person they saw in the park, for instance, then you can practice leave it with a person as the distraction. So you can have someone stand in front of your dog, and the dog's there like, oh my god, I gotta get to that person. But other than that, other than the fact that instead of a piece of food on the floor, it's a person stood in front of me, the exercise is identical. The person's out of reach. I say leave it. I wait patiently. If my dog needs a bit of a hint, good boy, well done, fantastic, you did it. Okay. So that's leave it. So today we've covered these things. We've covered sit and lie down and stand. We've covered recalls, and I've just talked about the importance of repeating the recall a lot, frankly. We talked about teaching our dogs to play the follow me game, and then we talked about examination and then leave it. So lots of things for you to kind of go away and think about. I don't want your homework to be difficult or like long-winded, so I'll just say like if you can set aside 2 minutes a couple times a day to work with your dog, that's a good goal. Okay, it doesn't sound like you don't have to. Consistency is more important than the amount of time you put into it at any one time. If you do a couple minutes a couple times a day, but you do it every single day, you'll notice more result than if you do half an hour once a week, and you'll feel better about it, frankly. Okay, so any questions?
Nope.
Okay, brilliant. It's been lovely having you. I'll see you next
Good
time.
boy.
Have a nice week.
Good boy.
I'll pop my dog
Good
out.
boy.
Thank you. Good. Wait.
Here we go. You want some? No. Let's go home, Milo. Let's go home.
Good girl. There you go.
Good boy. Good boy. Good boy.